You know, when it comes to the Calgary Flames, the biggest thing that I think they need is just to get a couple of wins. And I don't mean wins in the category of their team winning, because actually that's the exact opposite of what they need. They need to win in terms of trades. They need to get a couple of trades that you're like, wow, I can really see the futures there. And for a long time, I thought that Rasmus Andersson was going to be the piece, especially when we hear the rumors of the LA Kings, like essentially trying to give a king's ransom for Rasmus Andersson. I thought that he was going to be like the guy that was going to get returned. Now, it remains to be seen. We don't really know that for sure, or Nazem the Dream Kadri, but we have more interesting rumors about that the Flames are going to be able to command actually a lot more than you think for one of their players. But welcome back to Pixel Plus Hockey. If you can make sure to hit that subscribe button, it would be so greatly appreciated. And thank you so much to those that are already supporting me as well. It is very humbling. And obviously, when we talk about how much trade value a player has, it all boils down to demand. How much just like supply and demand in our economic systems, right? How much demand does this player have? You know, how easy is it to move the player? And if you're a ruthless GM and you don't really care about the player at all, some GMs actually care about players, right? Some GMs won't really move a player if they don't want to go to a certain spot. They'll almost act like they have a trade, a trade protection anyway, but you can get a lot for a player, especially when they don't have trade protection and these things, and they're easy to move, and there's demand for the player. And then I want you guys to draw yourselves to Blake Coleman and some parts of his contract. Now, if you look at Puckpedia, you'll see here no trade clause years 1 to 3. So he had a complete no trade clause, and then a no trade years 4 to 6 was a 10-team approved trade list. Okay, so that's really, really interesting. So Blake Coleman is going to be able to give the Calgary Flames a specific 10 teams, but that leaves a lot of doors open for the Calgary Flames to be able to send this player almost wherever they want. That is going to improve this player's trade value exponentially. You want to know another thing that's going to increase his value even more? He has this year remaining, as I'm going to put on the screen right now, plus next year at a very reasonable $4.9 million cap hit. Another point is here too. Honestly, if I was the Calgary Flames, if you could work out the Calgary Flames even retaining salary, they're probably not going to be that good next year, and it's only 2 more years, this year and the next. So if you could retain salary on it and improve his value, so let's say he has 20 more teams he could get sent to, playoff teams, maybe 16 teams. He has remaining time on his contract and a reasonable cap hit that you could retain. This is a player that I'm really starting to understand that the Flames are going to get a lot for this player, I think, and I think he's going to be on the move this year. We have a very interesting quote here. Interestingly, for all this speculation around Andersson and Kadri, my understanding is that the player who received the most attention from other teams is Blake Coleman. Teams are planting the seed, letting Flames GM Craig Conroy noted if he entertains moving Coleman to get in touch, close quote. And it's no stranger to see. I mean, this player also is a two-time Stanley Cup champion in 2019-2020 and 2020-2021, and he's been quite consistent in what he is, right? There was actually one year he scored 30 goals for the Flames in 23-24. Obviously, that was a bit of an outlier. Typically, he's going to give you from 14 goals to 22 goals, give or take. I mean, he has 7 goals in 20 games. Obviously, I would imagine with that 7 goals in 20 games, his shooting percentage is probably a little bit high. I don't think that he's going to end up with that amount of goals. Possibly he could. I guess, he's done it before. He scored 30 goals in 78 games, but that's a bit of an outlier. I like to go with the data says, over the long run, right? And you know what else? We see this stuff all the time in the NHL. For example, we'll sometimes see one player go and you're like, man, that player almost got not nearly as much as I thought he was going to command. And then you'll see another player that, he's a good player, like Blake Coleman's a really good player, but he'll command so much more than the other player that you thought had more value than him, right? It's so weird in the NHL. Valuations are really strange. Perhaps the Flames don't end up getting nearly as much as we thought for Rasmus Andersson, or perhaps even Nazem the Dream Kadri, but maybe Blake Coleman is the guy. And we're already hearing whispers from more than one insider. David Pagnotta said this as well, and I've touched on that, where this guy is going to be a huge win for Calgary. Calgary needs win after win after win after win, and they need game-breaking offense. I'm pretty excited for what this trade is going to look like for the Calgary Flames. Now, question of the video. When it comes to Blake Coleman, what exactly would you guys command? I would try to start with a first-round selection. And a lot of people that might raise your eyebrows, I'm telling you, man, they could get it. And I also want you guys to remind yourselves, this draft can rebuild your entire organization, okay? Remember, if you hit on a couple of picks and they end up being serious players, it completely can transform your organization in 1 or 2 years. And I wanted to shift gears here, and I wanted to talk about Samuel Hanzik to finish the video off. Really weird. He is actually week to week. He got just smoked by Backlund. He got really hit right past the neutral zone at the blue line. A really weird hit. I don't know if you guys saw it, but, Backlund was just carrying the puck, and I don't know what Hanzik was doing. It wasn't really, he was kind of paying attention, but maybe he was just moving so fast, and he got hit, and he definitely looked pretty hurt. So I think it's an upper body injury type thing. But I just wanted to touch on Hanzik really quickly. That a lot of people are down on the player, but I think that most players that are selected in the late first round are more than likely going to be projects. There are maybe not many players you wanted to select over him at that point, because I hear a lot of talk about him, and people are almost down at him. But you have to understand that they're all going to be projects late in the first round, right? Maybe who would you want to select over Hanzik at that? Maybe Easton Cowan, I think maybe might be a better player. Perreault might be a better player that he was selected after Hanzik. His AHL numbers are actually quite interesting to me, but I'm not even sure about that. But I just feel like it's kind of weird to me. Everybody's down on Hanzik from what I'm seeing, but I think he's going to be a fine player. I'm just not convinced he's going to be a top 6 player in my opinion. Like, you know what, maybe Hanzik turns into like a Blake Coleman type player. You know, a guy that can get you 15, maybe 18, 19 goals, something like that. You know, score 40 points, be a really good two-way, sizable player. That is a player that I could see Hanzik being. So I just wanted to touch on that really quickly. Although, again, that was, I don't know if you guys saw it, just a really weird hit. And it obviously really sucks to see players getting injured, especially when they're developing like that. Calgary really needs to develop their young players. They really need to give them opportunities. Opportunities are going to be huge for this team going forward. Anyways, I'll make second question of the video right now. What exactly do you think that Hanzik is going to be in his NHL career? Right now, I have him pegged as probably like a middle 6 type winger, like up and down type winger, sizable winger. Probably could grow into his two-way ability, something like that. That's where I see Hanzik being. Anyways, guys, I think I'm going to leave this video here. If you can make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, I would greatly appreciate it, guys. And make sure to have a great day. Goodbye, guys.